Here's how it's done.
Alright guys, this one is fast paced. So this has 3 lines of copy on it, and that's not that hard to do, but your spacing has to be even on your top and bottom, and then your middle line you want even spacing between the top and bottom. Now this board has a little bit of a cup to it, so a good idea when you have something like that is to use little spring clamps to hold your stencil flat. That way you get a good clean line when you spray your primer and get your layout. Dad started off with a profile bit at 3/16 of an inch deep. Now he carved this half and half. He did the stars as a separate stencil, then the stripes. Now what he did was he actually went back around everything once it was carved, and he dropped that profile bit to 1/4 of an inch deep to give himself more room to go in there and do the cleanup with a 90-degree bit. But we didn't film that because as it is, I had to speed this video up and cut a bunch of stuff out because this was a pretty long carve. Altogether, it took about an hour, and to try to squeeze that into a 3-minute video, a little on the rough side. So now that his profile work is done, he went in with a 90-degree bit and he took out all the background. And this bit will give you a cool texture. If you want a flat background, then you can use a spiral upcut bit. Now Dad switched to the 60-degree at about 3/16 inch deep. This 1-inch Clarendon is kind of difficult to carve inset because your cut is wider than your lines, but with a little bit of practice, it's not that hard. And honestly, it looks really good, it's simple, and it's really easy to read. For the edge, Dad gave it a really deep chamfer with our 45-degree chamfer bit, and then he taped everything that's not going to be black. This is where it gets a little tricky. So we're using 3 different colors on this sign. We're using black primer and then red and blue flat paint. You can use paint to spray your signs, but it has to be flat or matte finish. Otherwise, it will never dry. It's going to bleed and you're never going to be able to sand it out. Anytime you have different colors, then you want to mask off what you don't want to be that color. And it can get real tricky once you're down in that carving. So the black primer we always use sands off really easy. The flat and matte finish paint, it does sand off, but it's going to gum up your discs a little bit, so make sure you have one of the sanding disc cleaners nearby so you can clean those things off. Then we put a few coats of Rust-Oleum Clear on there, and man, that redwood just pops.
Everything we used is over at our website, makeawoodsign.com. Go check it out.